Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoterica, and boy do I have a wild and random video for you this Friday, because we are taking a look at the Taito X-55 data net station. What is it, you ask? It's a karaoke machine. Why the hell am I talking about a karaoke machine on the channel? Because this is actually a video game console in disguise. It's basically a consoleized Taito F3 arcade board, or the derivative console, the Taito Wowow, a console that was developed and never released. But it's easier to show you than tell you, so enjoy this for 20 seconds and I will be right back.
お正月はタイオ通信カラオケ X55 カラオケはもちろん暮らしの情報もあのインベーダーゲームもすごい家庭用通信カラオケ X55 64,800円
Yeah, that's totally a thing that you just watched, and the eagle eye among you may have noticed there was something very in particular about this karaoke machine, and that is the fact that it was playing Space Invaders. What does that mean? This is a video game console, and there's the splash screen for it. Now, I will go more in depth about the hardware and the history of this, but what the X-55 data net station is basically the Taito Wowow, an unreleased console from Taito that was supposed to download games over satellite, and it is also a consoleized arcade Taito F3 board. It's basically both at the same time, and it is very hard to describe, but I will get you there, trust me. But taking a look right at the front, you're going to see this looks nothing like a video game console. We've got some buttons, and then we have some volume dials, because this was a karaoke machine first and foremost. All you were supposed to really do was sing on it, and trust me, I can't sing and I will not try. But around the back, we have the classic hookup, so we just have composite. We have an expansion card slot in the middle that I'll get to shortly. But the interesting thing is, on the right hand side, you're going to see two phone line jacks. If you are not as old as I am, you've maybe never seen one of these in your life, in your house, so we had them all the time. The Wowow was supposed to download games via satellite service, kind of like the Nintendo Satellaview. It also had discs as well, but the entire concept for delivery of this was through satellite networks. Now, when we go to the X-55, we have a very similar distribution system, except now we're not dealing with satellites, we're dealing with phone lines, and that's because they determined that the data transfer rates for the Wowow were too slow. Now, taking a look at this system on my PVM, you're probably wondering why I'm showing it to you on the PVM first. I thought this came in broken, because I got the splash screen on my capture card, but the minute it actually goes to the system itself, it completely loses sync. I thought there was something wrong, and I spent about 3 hours, way more time than I should have, trying to figure out what was going on here. And what I found was, if I push a certain button on the remote, magically I am now able to get this to sync up into the menu. And that made me remember something. The Taito F3 arcade board sucks at syncing at anything. The video chip in that just does not like to sync to basically any television that I've ever thrown it at, Supergun or otherwise. So, kind of interesting, don't you think? But taking a look here at the main menu, I'm not going to blow smoke up your you-know-what. There's not a lot that we can currently do with this. We can navigate the menus, we can check things out, and I can in a little bit let you listen to some of the music because it is quite endearing and charming for this system. The reason we can't do much with it is because there is nothing on the system. It only has RAM storage, and I will explain more of the hardware in a few minutes. But there is no storage in this system that's non-volatile. That means the minute you turn the power off, everything in RAM purges. And you'll see this little balloon animation here. It's telling us we have no phone connection, therefore we can't try to, sing whatever song that I just picked by putting numbers in. There would be a book, there would be numbers. You enter those numbers in, and you'd be able to play something. In this instance, you'll see the background says game. That is because there were a handful of games, it seems to be a little bit over a dozen, that were distributed from Taito servers to the X-55 data net station, making this a video game console. Taito released a console, you never knew about it. I've gotten it shipped in from Japan, way too expensive, just to make this one really stupid but entertaining video talking about the history of Taito and the fact that they actually did release a game console. Now, it is highly unfortunate that there's nothing that we can play on this currently, but I will talk later in the video of some ideas I have to actually make this play a game or two. I might be completely crazy in thinking I can do it, but I've done weirder things before, so why don't we try one more time later on. Leave me a comment if you want to see that down below. But back to the games, we do have some scans of this as a karaoke machine media box, and you'll see that there is a roster of games down there. There's a golf game, there's Puzzle Bobble, some games like Othello and Go that I have no idea about, Cleopatra Fortune, and Space Invaders 1995. Now some of those names changed slightly, but we can play some of them because Cleopatra Fortune was on the Taito F3 arcade board. And considering the fact that the X-55 datanet station is nothing more than an F3 arcade board in a box, and I will explain when we go over the hardware, it's not surprising it made it over. And even more interesting is the fact that if you go into the test mode of Cleopatra Fortune, there's an X-55 demo mode. By default, when this ships, it is not turned on, but if you turn it on, go ahead and exit and save that EPROM data, you're going to see that after the high score table, we're going to get an ad for the X-55 datanet station. That's how intrinsically tied these two things are together. If you liked playing in the arcade, you could go home and download it as well. Now, this is the arcade version because as far as I can tell, there are no files available for the X-55 datanet station. That's because they all lived in a volatile RAM that would purge itself completely upon a power-off state. My hope is someone sees this video and they might have something. I know it's a really shot in the dark, 10 out of 10 rare, probably not going to happen scenario for me, but hey, weirder things have happened. I found a prototype Neo Geo board in a field somewhere in California, so maybe it will happen. But if we take a look over here, this is what I want the box to do. I want to be able to hook up the X-55 datanet station to my television, and I want to play a game on it. That is my goal. It's what I'm going to work towards if I get enough comments with people telling me that they think I should try. Just if you want to see a series of videos of me probably failing incredibly hard. Now there are some differences between the F3 version and the X-55 version. It's graphically cut down on the X-55, and I presume that's because in an interview with Kenji Kaito, one of the developers of this game, he states that the X-55 has a capacity of 700 kilobytes of storage and that he was not involved in the conversion of Cleopatra Fortune from the X-55 to the Taito F3, and that's probably why it looks completely different. But I keep talking about this just being an F3 in a box, so we should probably deal with explaining why I think that. This is probably the first time this thing has been opened since it came from the factory, but I can't talk about the chipsets inside if I don't pop the lid off and we take a little bit of a under the hood look. And you will see right here, it looks like a standard video game console motherboard. But the interesting thing is the chips that are on it, because this shares the same Motorola processor that the Taito F3 does as well. And you'll see it here in close-up. That is going to be as follows: the MC68EC020 at 16 MHz. The exact same processor in the F3 board. It also shares some other hardware like that Insonic chip next to it, that sound processor. It's a slightly newer variant, but the F3 had 2 chips on it, so it's possible that that's just an amalgam of both, and I flipped it over so you can read the codes on that for your entirety. And then there is this custom ASIC in the middle as well, and that's probably driving all the video circuitry, and it is very similar looking to a chip on the F3 motherboard as well. So this is basically just an F3 slightly before it existed, but it does have a PCM-CIA slot on it. And this is why I'm wondering why it's there. Certainly isn't for a modem, we already have that built in, and all we otherwise is Ethernet or storage. And maybe at one point in time, Puzzle Bobble was in the RAM of my X-55 datanet station, because it is another game that was advertised being available for this system. And of course, if you've ever played Puzzle Bobble, it's an incredible game, and if somehow you've never played it before, stop this video now, actually watch to the end, like and subscribe, blah blah blah. Definitely play it, because if you never have, you're missing out on a great game. And this is one that I would love to play for the system. And the board that this is based on, the ROM size for this, 900 kilobytes. Now the third game that we would know outside of the Othellos and the Go's and things like that we don't really care too much about is Space Invaders 1995. Now this is the ROM for Space Invaders DX, but if you go and look up 1995, you're going to get an arcade game that looks nothing like DX. But the reason we're playing DX is because I'm going to show you what it looked like on screen right now. And trust me, if you've ever played Space Invaders, you're going to know exactly what we're looking at here. But if you remember that video I showed you at the beginning, if we go back to that right now, you're going to see those look pretty damn similar. Now, if we take a look at the ROM size for Space Invaders DX, we're going to find out that based on that 400 to 700 kilobyte file size restriction for the X-55, we're going to have a ROM that's exactly 500 kilobytes. That means it would fit. But how do I know that it would fit? If we go over to the board, those two chips at the top are 512 kilobyte RAM chips a piece, which means we have enough RAM on board the X-55 to load all 3 games I've shown you so far. Well, let's talk about some of the other hardware that comes with it. This is the remote control, and this is going to be able to play games if they're on there, but there was a secondary aftermarket controller as well that appears to be 11 out of 10 rare, so we're going to have to go with the Taito remote in and of itself. And I'm so glad that I got this and opened it quickly because the batteries in the back were so incredibly swollen and leaky. I was able to clean it and save it probably before it was completely dead. Other things in the box is the warranty and registration information, which has never been registered, so maybe I should fill this out and send it off to Taito in Japan. Maybe I can still get a little warranty going on. There's also a gigantic manual, all in Japanese, that I'm definitely never going to read because it's probably not going to help me whatsoever in the project. But what I think is helpful is this little card here showing you how to connect this system up. Now all you do is connect it to a phone line, you dial that phone number, and then once the phone number picks up, with the code you gave it, it's going to send data back. And you get a microphone. I thought about recording the entire voiceover with this microphone, but honestly it sounds like absolute garbage. It would have been funny, but I want you to actually understand what I'm saying. But my thought is this: why can't we either A, try to put some ROMs on that PCMCIA storage card and see if they'll boot? I doubt they will. I seriously doubt they will. Or better yet, maybe we could try to dial in to this, spoof it somehow, and send data back into the system. Now what are the odds of me being successful with this? I'm going to say 0.001 out of 100%. I don't have ROMs for this, but maybe somebody out there does, and that's why I do these videos. Not only do I get to tell you that Taito released a video game console that you probably never heard of and realized, but it's basically a consoleized F3 in a box, and it's basically the Taito Wowow, except not using satellites, using phone lines. Do me a huge favor, guys, hit like and subscribe and that notification bell. It's like a lot of time, energy, and shipping money to get this from Japan. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Love chatting with you, and you tell me if you want me to actually try to make this thing play games, or if I should just put it in the closet and put the X-55 on a shelf as a curiosity and move on to something different. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.